Okay, we're picking up with the last question on the Unit 1 exam, question number 2 from the PARCC section. It's going to pull up. Okay, so it says for this one, to prepare for a test, 3 students have been asked to present a review lesson to their class on sketching the graph of a parabola in the xy coordinate plane. They decide to use the quadratic function 4x squared plus 8x minus 5 in their presentation. Each student will use algebra to explain how to find one of 3 key features of the graph. Angela is rewriting the equation in factored form. Benjamin's rewriting the equation by completing the square. Carla is evaluating f of 0. Part A wants us to sketch the graph. Part B wants us to describe how each student's work contributes to finding the key features of the graph, and then complete their work and describe the feature that's being revealed. So I think it's easier to do the sketching if you do the work first. So I'm going to do part B first and then come back and talk about part A. So the first thing I know is that Angela is rewriting the equation in factored form. So I'm going to take this equation and factor it. So I took a times c, 4 times negative 5, got negative 20, and I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply to negative 20 that add to 8. So I found 10 and negative 2. So I'm splitting up 8x into 10x minus 2x. I'm going to factor all this. I get the 2 factors of 2x plus 5 times 2x minus 1. And the reason this is helpful is it helps me find the x-intercepts of the function. If I set this equal to 0, I can find that my first x-intercept will be negative 5 halves, which is negative 2.5. And over here, it would be 1/2. So I know it's going to cross the graph at negative 2.5 about here, and positive 1/2, which is about here. Let me pull up a graph over here, and I will plot these points just so you can see them. Negative 2.5, comma 0, and the point 1/2, comma 0. And later I will pull in this function and show you that I know that that's where the graph is going through. The second person, Benjamin, he rewrites the equation by completing the square. So I'm going to complete the square. So the first thing I need to do is bring the negative 5 from the left side over to the right side. And I'm going to then divide everything by 4, because I need to have this x squared by itself. I can't have a coefficient on it. Schoolmax messed me up a little bit. Okay, so over here I'm going to have 5 divided by 4. Then I'm going to take my b value, I'm going to divide it by 2. I'm going to take half of it and square it. Half of 2 is 1. Square it, I get 1. I'm adding 1 to each side. This term right here simplifies to x plus 1 squared. 5/4 plus 1. 1 is just 4/4. 5/4 plus 4/4 gives you 9/4. The final thing that you need to do is to have all whole numbers. So I'm going to multiply this side by 4 and then put this 4 back. When I divided out the 4, I'm going to put the 4 back. So this number just becomes 9, and this becomes 4 times x plus 1 squared. Bring the 9 back to the left. So now I have this in vertex form. So that helps me find the vertex. The vertex is going to be negative 1, negative 9. So I'm going to come over here, do another point of negative 1, comma negative 9. Zoom out a little bit just so you can see that point. It's down here in green. Come back over here. Third person, Carla, evaluates f of 0. So f of 0, we're plugging in 0 to the original equation of 4x squared plus 8x minus 5. When I do that, I get negative 5. That means I have the point 0, negative 5. That point is the y-intercept. So let's come over here. I'm going to put also another point, 0, comma, negative 5. On my graph, I'm going to change my scale around just so you can see this a little bit easier. Okay. My vertex from here was negative 1, negative 9, this green point. So I'm going to do an axis of symmetry, x equals negative 1, that goes through that vertex. So hopefully you can see this red point and this blue point are symmetric. They're equidistant from the vertex. And the vertex lies on that point. And this purple point is 2 spaces to the right. So I'm going to have another point 2 spaces to the left. And it looks like that point would be -2, -5. So I'm going to graph that point, -2, -5 also. And now you can see I have a pretty clear shape being formed. The last thing I'm going to do is just put the equation here, 4x squared plus 8x minus 5, and you can see when I put that equation in, it hits all 5 of the points that I've put up here already. So just coming back to my work, part A, I have to sketch the graph. You can see my work over here. I sketched it. I have those same 5 points that we were looking at over here. I've got -2, -5. I've got -1, -9. I've also got 0, -5, the y-intercept. Actually, I don't have the x-intercepts here. What I have instead are just the points that are a little bit farther away back when we made a table. It really doesn't matter if you choose to use -3 and +1 as your x values, or if you choose to use the x-intercepts. Either way, you're going to get the same looking picture. So that's all the work that you have to go through for question 2. I know it's a lot of work. This is the long kind of question you're going to see on the PARCC test. We have to throw PARCC questions on our tests each time this year just to make sure you guys are ready for the PARCC test at the end of the year.